Something that's prevalent in the anime community is the fact that sometimes things change over time and people are not willingly or readily willing to accept that. And this happens time and time again in anime. In particular to One Piece, this happens quite frequently because One Piece has been going on for so long. So when things happen and things change, people have been stuck in their headcanon for so long. It's like it takes a lot to move them off of it. One thing that I try to do is when new information comes about, I change my perspective or change my mind, because you look foolish if you're trying to hold on to old thoughts even though new information has been presented. For example, Whitebeard. A lot of people place Whitebeard on Roger's level based on how the narrative was trying to explain Whitebeard as a legend, a living legend, on the same level as Roger and should be respected as such. Now, people are starting to change their tune based on the reveal of the Rocks pirates, knowing that Whitebeard served on the Rocks and the blatant line saying that Rocks was the most formidable rival of Roger. Based on this, people are drawing the conclusion that because Rocks was the most formidable rival of Roger, there's no way Whitebeard can be on Roger's level. Personally, I don't agree with that. I still think Whitebeard and Roger are still on the same level and on par. Rocks was just a greater force at that time. Now, Marco, I think, has been struck with that a bit lately. Personally, I think Marco is a bit overpowered based on things we've seen transpire, but people don't view him that way based on, again, things that we've seen transpire throughout the series. And again, you can get overwhelmed even if you're overpowered, just because there are many factors that go into victory. Think about the Rocks pirates again. I'm talking about them a lot because it's just fresh in our minds and a lot of people are talking about it. The Rocks pirates had Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, Rocks, Shiki, all of these top tier fighters. There's no way logically you can conclude that Roger and Garp, and of course some other Marines and Roger's crew, was able to take down these pirates without some context being removed. Like, this pirate crew was just too powerful for me to logically believe that they were able to take him down mano a mano, and they were just stronger than the Rocks pirates. There were a lot of statements made beforehand to let us know, like, this pirate crew was not a perfect crew. They were fighting amongst themselves, and again, they did not like each other overall, so there was no chemistry. So it was like the perfect balance for everything to crumble at the end. That's not what we're talking about today. I say that to say this: Marco in general hasn't gotten a fair shake in the community ever since post time skip, based on things we found out, the progression of the narrative, detailed explanations of powers are revealed, and because the character pre-time skip didn't show us some of these abilities, they're automatically knocked down a few pegs. And I think a character that could fit in the same vein, which another video should be coming in regards to him, is Crocodile. But today, we're going to focus on Marco. At this moment, before you continue with this video, I want you to go into the comment section. Tell me, what do you think of Marco before you finish this video? Let me know where you place him. Do you think Luffy is currently stronger than Marco? Answer that question right now. At this current moment, do you think Luffy is stronger than Marco? Or even, let's say at the end of the Katakuri fight, do you think Luffy could have beaten Marco as well? Just give me your raw thoughts on Marco and then continue the video. Okay, so now that's out of the way. Marco, from what we know, has been the right hand for Whitebeard for decades. There's some speculation that Oden could have been the right hand for Whitebeard for a while, and I tend to agree with that, and Marco slid to the first commander spot because it's more likely to leave the second commander position open than the right hand or the first commander position. Just makes more sense. In regards to the right hands, he's the one that's been disrespected the most. Again, the narrative has somewhat worked against him in a way and said things and blatantly outlined and detailed things for us to automatically knock him down a peg. But I think he's been put in unfair situations in which most characters on his level or right hands all the same would suffer the same way. First thing with Marco and his Devil Fruit, he has a Tori Tori no Mi, the model Phoenix. It was stated that he has one of the most powerful and most rarest Devil Fruits in One Piece. He has a mythical zone, which is even more rarer than a Logia. So off rip, he has one of the most powerful Devil Fruits, which is insane. This is not so much of a character analysis of Marco because there's a lot to get into in regards to how we know him and how he's been portrayed as a person. But I think there's something to the effect that when Ace joined the crew, he was someone that was specifically making an effort to get him acclimated to the crew. So overall, he's genuinely a good guy, and he has a laid back personality. He's not as volatile as Ace was, or braggadocious and overpowering and overwhelming as a character as, like, say, Kid is, personality wise. So I think he gets overlooked for that as well. And sometimes if you're a quiet person, that happens a lot, in which just because you're quiet, you don't get as much fanfare as the person that's the loudest in the room. Something as well in the community is just like groupthink and just agreeing with everyone. There are people that like to be contradictory and like going against the grain, but there's certainly more people that like agreeing with the masses. This has all happened to us, right? You've been in the classroom and it's the end of the test and everyone's comparing answers, and the consensus answer is that it's 10, and you're looking down at your paper and you have 2, and you're like, what the hell did I do wrong? There's something wrong with me because everybody else got 10. Even though you're the only one that got it right, you're questioning yourself because everybody else got 10. And I feel like in the community that happens a lot, whereas somebody could feel strongly about something and be correct. Of course, this is all speculative and personal subjective bias anyway, but because everyone isn't agreeing with you, you then start to question your own own beliefs. So that happens a lot, and I think that's happening with Marco. Upon entrance to Marineford, one of the first matchups we saw was Marco versus Kizaru. Now Kizaru, up to that point, and even since then, has been heralded as one of the strongest fighters in One Piece. Top 10 consensus no matter what. And Kizaru has held his own against everyone. Now, Kizaru comes in and he attacks Whitebeard, tries to take down Whitebeard, and Marco casually goes into the direction of Kizaru's attack and nullifies it. Now, take this into perspective. How many characters are taking a full powered attack from an Admiral and it not phasing them at all? Not many. Quite a few of them are getting one shot. I'm talking about people on Marco's level. The fact that he was able to take someone of Kizaru's ilk, a full powered attack, straight on without it phasing him. Of course, it speaks to his devil fruit power, but again, it's his power, so he can utilize it, and that is freaking overpowered. Not many characters are taking a full-on attack, even at that level. Of course, there are a few characters that can brush it off, but it didn't phase him at all. He flew right through it, and then he was able to go and land a hit in Kizaru and then physically overpower an Admiral. That's another thing that Marco gets knocked down for, is the fact that he doesn't seem as strong as the other characters. He's not physically imposing. Well, Marco was able to overpower, just for that moment, the Marines' greatest fighting force, which are the Admirals. I don't want to overstate that moment because it was just one clash, but I think narratively Oda does this, right? Where he gives us a bit of the bigger picture, where just look at this and take this for what it's worth, because this is going to mean more in the future. I think Marco being able to not only fly through an Admiral's attack casually, blitz an Admiral and overpower him speaks to not only his strength, but obviously his abilities. I understand why Rayleigh gets wanked, and the thing is, Rayleigh was able to compete with an Admiral even while he's saying he's rusty, and he was able to get a scratch in. I've talked about that ad nauseum, how he was able to do it. The reason why you should appreciate Rayleigh but not overhype him. But Marco doesn't get that respect at all. I guess he would have to scratch Kizaru when Kizaru's trying to get away to get that respect, but I think he should get some respect for overpowering Kizaru in that moment. Again, Kizaru is a known troll, but people give Ben Beckman more credit for pointing a gun at Kizaru and Kizaru trolling, saying, "Oh, Ben Beckman," and then after that continue to fire on the submarine. But Marco gets no credit whatsoever for that moment, and people chalk it up to it just being a clash, which I agree with, but that matters. And again, comparing Katakuri to Marco, it's a difficult task because Marco was up against the Navy Admirals. Katakuri was up against Luffy and, you know, the whole Cake Island stragglers. Not to downplay a lot of those characters, but most of those characters can't hold a candle to the Admiral. Marco was in the middle of a war and he had to navigate through so many different things for them to even try to have a chance at standing against the world government. What's also interesting in that war was that Marco was able to play point guard, or in ways he was overlooking the war. He couldn't engage in one person every single time because, again, they were on their back foot. They were in enemy territory, so Marco was trying to go to different places over the battlefield. And again, something that people use against him as well is the fact that GARP knocked him out of the air when he was going towards Ace. It's freaking GARP. GARP is one of the strongest Marines ever, if not the strongest Marine ever. Granted, I don't think he's currently the strongest Marine. GARP's experience, his power, his wisdom, all of that doesn't just go away. So I think GARP using that and overpowering Marco, or just getting a hit in on Marco without him looking at that time, I guess that's impressive. Then why do people hate Flampe so much for getting a hit in on Luffy when he wasn't looking? It's a war, and I understand that things are gonna go this way. It's GARP. I don't know why people are so crazy about that. The same people say GARP will beat Akainu at Marineford, which is crazy by the way, still gives Marco shit for getting knocked out of the air by freaking GARP. The freaking fist! I don't get it! Marco was playing cover. He saved Luffy a couple times. He was engaged throughout the entire war, and something that's not factored in as much that people talk about when they discuss Marco is the fact that Marco, he is someone that was really close to Whitebeard. He viewed him as his dad. Ace asked Marco one time, "Why do you guys call him Pops?" He said, "Well, he calls us his sons. He accepted us for who we are when no one else would." So his level of care for Whitebeard is through the roof, obviously, and we saw that play out in Marineford when every time Whitebeard got a heart attack, Marco was right there looking at him and trying to pay attention to his pops, right? And that was when they took advantage. Like, they couldn't even take out Marco, so they had to place handcuffs on him for Kizaru's lasers to work. Think about that. Kizaru, a Navy Admiral, one of the strongest fighters in One Piece, could not take out Marco until they placed sea stone cuffs on him. And even with the cuffs, Marco was still running around trying to do things. One of the other main things people use against Marco as well is the fact that when he went against Akainu, him and Vista, it didn't do anything to Akainu seemingly. When Whitebeard tried to stab Aokiji, it did not do anything to him when it was confirmed that Whitebeard used Haki. When Whitebeard tried to hit Kizaru and Kizaru evaded it, nothing was said about it because, again, it's Whitebeard, so I guess he already has the name, the strongest in the world, so nobody's going to question it. But when Marco tries to attack Akainu, and we don't know if it's future sight, it could be a semblance of it, it did nothing to Akainu, who is currently, I believe, the strongest living Marine. He gets shit for it. Also, after Ace died and Luffy is a bit out of it, Marco again came through when Akainu came with his fist to finally end Luffy. Marco was the one who stopped his attack, and again, we saw what happened between Akainu and Whitebeard. The stains that he has on his record that people use against him is the fact that Akainu went against 16 commanders and he was one of them. Well, Akainu did go against the 16 commanders. They didn't move him, but he didn't move them either. And again, the anime embellished the hell out of that scene because it was just like 2 panels in the manga. Also, Marco is hella fearless. Even when Blackbeard approached Whitebeard, Marco was about to go fight Blackbeard and all of his stragglers with Whitebeard, and Whitebeard told him not to come. Going past this war, because Marco, I think, held it down, one of the more impressive commanders, like Jozu got his arm taken off. Vista fought against Mihawk, and Mihawk talked him off the ledge saying, hey, let's fight another time. But to me, Marco held it down. He did what he was supposed to do as the right-hand man of the Whitebeard pirates. And again, going past the war, let's get to the payback war really quickly, because people, that's the main reason I think people disrespect Marco. First, we're going to talk about a negative thing that happened against Marco and a positive thing, but no one acknowledges the positive. First, the negative. After the Marineford war, obviously it was the payback war. During the payback war, it was said that the Whitebeard pirates, or the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates, suffered an overwhelming defeat. And a lot of people use that to say, well, Blackbeard obviously overwhelmed Marco, and the fact that he was the captain, that was the reason why they had no chance. No. The reason why they had no chance was the fact that they lost their actual captain in Blackbeard, or in Whitebeard. Blackbeard acquired their captain's power. They lost their 2nd division commander in Ace, not to mention they had already lost Thatch, so at that point they were fighting with scraps. Also, Jozu had 1 arm, so who was there? I put this in perspective all the time. Let's say this was the Straw Hats. You take away Luffy, you take away Sanji, you take away, let's say, Robin or Frankie. Do you think the Straw Hats are beating the Kid Pirates? Some Zoro fans are gonna go crazy right now. Relax. But at that point, you're fighting Kid, Killer, Heat, Wire. I think at that point, when you take away somebody's captain, right, and you take away somebody's commanders, it changes the tide of battle. And let's say Kid acquired Luffy's Devil Fruit. It changes everything. Like, they had no chance. But knowing they had no chance, Marco and his pride, he went into the battle no matter what to avenge Pops. The positive that I mentioned after the Marineford War, the Gorosei said, other than the current Yonko, the only other person and their crew that could take down Blackbeard was Marco and the remnant of the Whitebeard pirates. They believed in Marco's strength so much that they said that guy could possibly take down Blackbeard, but nobody acknowledges it based on what happened at the Payback War, where they had no chance anyway. It's hard to rank Marco again because pre-time skip and post-time skip levels of strength and abilities being displayed are completely different. Future Sight wasn't as fleshed out, advanced armor and Haki, but we saw those things at the Marineford War. We know Marco was using Haki, sent Aokiji flying, sent Kizaru flying, was able to attack Akainu, in which he said, damn Haki users. So it's an unfair shake in comparison to like Katakuri, who had, this is post time skip, in which the levels of strength displayed just completely different on separate levels. But I think Marco deserves more respect, not only as a combatant, as a right hand, as a character, and as a son. Going into that war against Blackbeard, not many people would have any chance. Not many pirate crews would have any chance, even full strength, much less not having your actual captain and several of your commanders. It's frustrating sometimes because I like Marco as a character. I mean, he's cool, right? But I think he's disrespected a lot. And I know a lot of people say that currently he's probably not even right-hand commander level because he's retired or whatever. And also, Marco didn't use a named attack the entire war. Like, not one named attack. Like, everything was just hit, kicks, him using his ability. Not one named attack, but we're ready to write him off. But people hold named attacks to just a higher level, but for him, it doesn't matter. Let me know what you think. How do you view Marco? Like, do you think Marco is trash? Do you think he's the weakest right-hand commander? The last time you saw him in combat was pre-time skip, so it's hard to evaluate. But I think Marco was more than solid during the war and even after that. Valiant effort for going against Blackbeard. Most right-hand commanders losing their captain would suffer the same fate. The only right-hand currently that I put above Marco, definitively, I would say is Ben Beckman, because he has been heralded as the moon to Shanks' son. And he got a shout out in 957. Because Shanks' commanders are apparently the strongest ones. It's a weird thing. But guys, let me know what you think. What do you think about Marco? How strong do you think he is? Do you think he can currently beat Luffy as he is right now? I'm talking about not learning or not mastering advanced Haki, how he is right now, or even before mastering advanced Haki, because I think that's something that's going to put Luffy slightly above right-hand commander level, but we'll see. Leave your thoughts below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe for more content like this. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.